the Pakistan-Norway Tourism Summit 2022. The summit would showcase rich Pakistan's tourism potential, trends in Norway's tourism sector, highlight prospects for increasing two-way tourist flow, and deepening the bilateral tourism cooperation between the two countries. We are grateful for having with us senior panelists representing the federal, provincial, and area governments of Pakistan who are joining us virtually and would be presenting the diverse and rich contours of tourism in Pakistan. We are also grateful to Norwegian and Pakistani tour operators and travel agencies, tourist unions and associations, and travelers from Norway who are joining today's summit. To begin with, I would request Ambassador Babar Amin for the welcoming remarks.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Respected participants, I would like to warmly welcome you to the Pakistan-Norway Tourism Summit 2022 to promote tourism cooperation between the two countries. At the outset, may I thank our worthy speakers, Mr. Aftabur Rahman Rana, Managing Director, Pakistan Tourism Development Corporation, Mr. Muhammad Asghar Harifal, Secretary Culture and Tourism Department of Balochistan, Mr. Asadullah Faiz, Secretary and MD Tourism Development Corporation, Punjab, Mr. Abdul Rahim Sumro, Secretary Culture and Tourism, Sindh, Mr. Raja Rashid Ali, Secretary Tourism Government of Gilgit-Baltistan, Mr. Maqsoodul Mulk, Chairman, Pakistan Association of Tour Operators, PATO, Mr. Gunal Shodhan, Tour Leader, Escape Travel Norway. Pardon if I could not pronounce the name correctly. My Norwegian is still not so good. Mr. Amnagan Jalil and Ms. Gyuri Lande from GoFly. We would be having about 35 Norwegian and 30 tourism companies participating in this meeting, besides the worthy speakers. Among the participants joining us at the embassy are the members of famous Norwegian Travelers Club, Trump Lage, and the Friends of Nature Club that is taking a 10-member tour expedition to the base camp of Pakistan's highest peak K2 in June this year. Hunting group members and the Gurdwara Association Norway that organizes Sikh religious trips to their holy places in Pakistan, besides a number of travel and tour groups. Ladies and gentlemen, the land of Pakistan has been a seat of world's leading civilization since time immemorial. The remnants of Stone Age implements and weapons such as axes and hammers have been found in the Potwar Plateau in Pakistan, one of the world's oldest archaeological sites, dating back to 7,000 years, has been found in Mehergarh, Balochistan, whereas the ruins of 5,000-year-old Indus Valley civilization have been unearthed in Mohenjo-daro, Sindh, and Harappa in Punjab. These descendants of Alexander the Great's army, the Kalash tribesmen, are still living in Chitral, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. The Buddhist Gandhara civilization flourished in Takhbai, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and Taxila, Punjab. Over the centuries, Pakistan has straddled various religions, cultural and sociological systems. Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, etc., have been followed by people in this land for centuries. The famous Hindu scriptures, Rig Vedas, are believed to have been scriptured in Potwar of Punjab. Birth of Sikhism also took place in the areas in Pakistan. Nankana Sahib, Punjab Sahib, Kartarpur Sahib are some of the holiest Sikh places in Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan is a rich tourist destination. In the north, it is home to world's highest mountains ranges with 5 peaks above the height of 8,000 meters and the world's largest glaciers outside the polar region. The plains in Punjab, Sindh, and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa are affluent in agriculture, lush with crops and orchards, and have world's largest man-made canal system. The country also hosts many deserts, including the famous Katpana cold desert at 2,226 meters altitude in Skardu, Gilgit-Baltistan, Thal and Cholistan in Punjab, Thar in Sindh, and Haran in Balochistan. The Potwar Plateau and Balochistan Plateau are also famous for their scenic tourist destinations. The golden sandy beaches in Sindh and Balochistan are a huge attraction for surfing, boating, yachting, and fishing. Pakistan's indigenous wildlife, forest reserves, rivers, lakes, literature, music, art, and crafts, cuisine, folklore are further enriched by friendly and hospitable people that makes it a heavenly destination for tourists around the world. Pakistan presents a wide array of tourism opportunities such as leisure, adventure, hiking, trekking, winter sports, urban and rural tourism, bird watching, archaeological, cultural, religious, cultural, anthropological, and ecological tourism. Pakistan's tourism strategy 2020-2030 offers incentives for foreign direct investments in the tourism sector. Health tourism has also been prioritized. I would like to conclude my remarks by once again thanking all the worthy participants with the sincere hope that they would be able to work closely with each other in future for mutually beneficial tourism between Pakistan and Norway. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Pakistan Tourism Development Corporation (PTDC) is the central government body responsible for promotion of tourism in Pakistan. We are grateful to Mr. Aftabur Rahman Rana, Managing Director (PTDC), who is joining us virtually. I would request Mr. Aftabur Rahman to highlight the tourism potential and government's policies for promotion and upgradation of tourism credentials of the country. Sir, over to you, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'm greatly thankful to Excellency Ambassador Babar Amin Saab for organizing this tourism summit between Pakistan and Norway. And I am thankful to all the participants who are sitting in, I think, in the Pakistan Embassy in Norway, and all the Pakistani tour operators who are joining us from various cities of Pakistan. I must say that today we have a great group of excellent experienced tour operator with us who could be there to answer your question in the later session. And side by side, we have a representation of all the provincial tourism departments at the highest level. And I hope today you will have one of the good experience of Pakistan as a tourist destination. As the time is short, I've tried to prepare a presentation in which I could give you a glimpse of the potential of Pakistan tourism, although it may not be, I may not be able to cover everything, but at least you can have some idea how Pakistan look like as a tourist destination. Ladies and gentlemen, if we look at the map of Pakistan, you will find out that Pakistan is one of those countries in the world which are blessed with diverse inventory of tourism attraction. And this inventory is based on the unique endowment of natural landscape feature, its biodiversity, and its rich cultural heritage. If we travel in Pakistan, you can come across a various different kind of landscape, various different kind of culture and history, and this is all unique in terms of tourism potential of this country. Starting from the north side, if we look at the beautiful landscape of the mountainous region, Pakistan is a place which is called the meeting place of mountain ranges. This is the place where Karakoram, Hindu Kush and Himalaya meet together and form one of the greatest panorama of mountain beauty on the earth. We have something about 5 peaks over 8,000 meter out of 14 in the world, and more than 100 peaks over 7,000 meter within the radius of about 200 kilometer, and there are many more peak of lesser height. And one of the other unique phenomena is the longest glaciers outside polar region. Rather, Pakistan is the only country where you can find the largest number of glaciers outside polar region. They're not in hundreds, but in thousands. And this great mountain panorama and glaciated land provide us great opportunity to promote various kinds of adventure tourism, from the mountaineering to winter sports to rock climbing, ice climbing, and the river rafting and kayaking and all that. So one of the great place to come for adventure tourism is Pakistan, because here you will find the real wilderness and real beauty of the mountain landscape. And when you descend down from the high mountain, you find the different kind of diverse landscape in the valleys down below along the rivers. This is the landscape of the Karakoram region, which is right along the Karakoram Highway. And when you are traveling on Karakoram Highway, ladies and gentlemen, which is a link between Pakistan and China, you can see one of the greatest dramatic landscape beauty right from the window of your car. Rather, this is the only highway in the world. While traveling on that, I think you can see one 8,000 meter peak and at least 7,000 meter peaks right from the window of your car, and number of glaciers as well. So traveling itself on Karakoram Highway is a great adventure experience in Pakistan. And keep in mind, this is the same Karakoram Highway which has been built on the same ancient Silk Route, which was the great link between China, Central Asia, and the Europe, and also touching parts of northern Pakistan in present days. And further descending down into the mountains of Himalayas and Hindu Kush, you find this kind of green and lush green meadows and alpine forest areas, and they're ideal for low altitude hiking and camping. And they're not few tracks, but hundreds of trekking routes, and many of these are in the pure wilderness landscape. And these valleys are also dotted with beautiful lakes. There are some alpine lakes, some low altitude lakes, but all these lakes have their own charm and beauty. And most of these lakes are accessible from 1 to 3 days tracks from the main roads in the valleys down below. And this mountain phenomena is not, ladies and gentlemen, only in the north side, but it continues towards the south, right up to the Arabian Sea, where we have a beautiful sandy beaches of Makran coast, which are longer than 700 kilometers long. And this dramatic kind of landscape is also along the coastal life of Balochistan province, which is famous because of its own rugged natural landscape, and especially this coastal highway, which link Karachi with Gwadar, itself is a great journey in terms of its landscape and cultural diversity available all along. As Baba Sahib mentioned, Pakistan is a land which is great in terms of human history as well. Mehergarh is one of the sites which has the human history of more than 9,000 years. And this place is in the Balochistan province, is one of the oldest settlement in the South Asia, rather farming settlement in the Southeast Asia. And further, we have also the remains of Mohenjo-daro, which is famous because of the Indus Valley civilization, which flourished here about 4,500 years ago. And when we come towards north, we can also see various sites of Hindu dynasty, the temples, which belongs to the period of 9th century onward. And there are many different sites where you can come and experience the Hindu heritage sites in Pakistan. And most importantly, when you're moving further towards Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, there's a region called Gandhara. This is the area which is tucked away in between Peshawar and Swat Valley, and also touching Texla on this side of Indus, has been famous because of the famous Gandhara art, which flourished here between the 1st century AD to 5th century, 6th century AD. And this is basically the piece of land which has been the birthplace of Mahayana Buddhism. And there are thousands of places A few of them has been explored so far, which has significance in terms of the archaeological and Buddhist heritage sites in the kingdom of Gandhara, and you can witness many of these sites. Takhtabai, which you see here, is a World Heritage Site, and it's easily accessible from Islamabad within a drive of 2 hours, a 1.5 hour drive from Peshawar. Peshawar is the city which is one of the oldest living city in South Asia, ladies and gentlemen. And this is very, very important cultural hub of the Northwest Pakistan. And there are many interesting sites of historical importance, colorful bazaars, and also lots of interesting living culture aspects available in the city of Peshawar. Side by side, the Punjab, which is famous as the cultural capital of the country, and Lahore, which is the capital of Punjab province, is famous because of various sites of Mughal era heritage. And there are also a number of buildings which belongs to the British Raj period and the Sikh dynasty and the later Muslim dynasties also. This is a city where you can have a greatest cultural experience while spending four to 5 days, even exploring the whole city of Lahore. Punjab is also famous as the birthplace of Sikh religion. A few of the most famous gurdwaras are located in the province of Punjab. This is the place where Baba Guru Nanak Ji was born. He spent most of his youth, and he preached Buddhism in the various parts around Pakistan and India. So this is a great place of Sikh heritage and also Sikh religious tourism to explore. And moving down towards Sindh is also famous as the land of Sufis and Saints. And the various shrines of Sufis who came here in later period during along with the Muslim invaders. And there are various historical sites and mosques also in this piece of land. So Sindh is also one of the great provinces to explore in terms of history and culture. As you know, it's the oldest civilization, which is a great asset of this province. And in between that, there's the land of Cholistan and Tharpaka, which has its own culture and beauty. And Cholistan is a place where we can arrange safari trips on camels and also on jeeps to explore the vast spans of Cholistan desert. And this is also the place where you can also find the various historical palaces of Abbasi dynasty and the living culture of Cholistani people. In 1990, I was part of a Pak Norwegian Cholistan expedition. In 20 days, we traveled on camel back and explored the whole span of Cholistan desert. I still remember the good memories of that expedition in which the members from a Norwegian Explorer Clubs was participant along with the Adventure Foundation team in Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, I think the most interesting aspect for tourism is the living culture of a country. And Pakistan is a country where you find a great diversity of living culture. More than 74 languages are spoken. And when you're traveling from south to north or north to south, you encounter after every 50 to 60 kilometers a new culture, a new sort of a costume, a new kind of a food and cuisine. And you see, that's a great advantage which we have. You never feel bored while traveling in Pakistan. They're so hospitable and friendly people you encounter everywhere when you travel in Pakistan. And one of these living culture in Pakistan, we have the Kailasha people. We believe that they are the people who came with Alexander the Great in 327 BC, and now they are settled in the three valleys of Chitral. And they have their own distinctive culture, their religion, and their customs. And it's one of the oldest indigenous people which you can find within the territories of Pakistan. As the landscape and the cultural diversity is rich in Pakistan, the same is the case with the biological diversity. The 9 ecological zones, starting from the alpine zone and touching all different zones, reaching up to the mangrove forest along the Makran and Sindh coast. And in between, there's a great diversity of wildlife is available. And very recently, we have started promoting wildlife watching, bird watching tours in Pakistan. A number of tour operators are available in Pakistan who are offering these trips to the foreign tourist. The food and cuisine available in abundance, the fresh food and dry fruits and various kind of dishes everywhere on a very, very reasonable prices. So you can have a great food experience while traveling in Pakistan. Handicrafts is one of the specialty of Pakistan. In every town and city and in even a village, you find craftsmen who are making excellent handmade products, and they're very, very reasonably priced. And I've seen that when tourists go back, their suitcases are full of this various kind of souvenirs for their family members and their friends, which they buy from various cities in Pakistan. Pakistan is famous as the passionate country where cricket is played everywhere, from the villages to the towns to the main cities. Our present Prime Minister has been the champion. He has the world champion, a World Cup winner, and also he has led Pakistani team many, many years. And Pakistan traditionally is rich in various other sports which have been played in this country over the centuries. For example, the polo, which is played in its most original form. You can see the bull race, you can see the tent pegging, camel dancing, and the wrestling, and many of the traditional sports which are played in its original form. One of the greatest polo field we have at the height of 12,500 feet at the border of Chitral and Gilgit is Shandur. In July every year, we organize a very interesting festival in which all the best teams of northern part of Pakistan participate, and they compete with each other. A large number of tourists come here to witness this festival in the early July, which is usually the best time to visit this place. Islamabad is the modern capital with all the facilities, and this could be the starting point of trip towards north, south, east, and west. And this has all the modern facilities, not only Islamabad, but the other cities like Karachi, Lahore, Faisalabad, Multan, and Peshawar, and the cities in Gilgit and Baltistan. They all are now having good facilities and hotel accommodation available and transport facilities. And quite a large number of tour operators who are trained in providing excellent services are available all around the country to cater the needs of Pakistani and foreign tourists. So based on this great assets which we have, we can focus on recreation and adventure and culture, religious tourism, sports and ecotourism, wellness and health tourism, education, conference, agri, shopping. I mean, it's not just a country specialized for one or two products. It's such a variable products which are available in Pakistan, and especially the adventure, culture, religious, ecotourism side, a very, very strong element in our product. So, ladies and gentlemen, the overall tourism is progressing very well in Pakistan. In 2014, we had something about 1.5 million tourists traveling within the country. But in 2018, just before COVID, we have already crossed the figure of 6.6 million. But keep in mind, most of these are the domestic tourists. They're only 4% of foreign tourist market. So in foreign world, Pakistan is still famous as the best kept secret. So the foreign tourists who are coming to Pakistan, they're really coming to have a unique experience in terms of their exploratory trips in Pakistan. So it's a great country to explore as a foreigner, where there's so many interesting aspects are available within the boundaries of one country. The present government, ladies and gentlemen, is very much interested in promoting tourism, especially Prime Minister Imran Khan himself is very keen to develop this sector. And recently we have developed a national tourism strategy under the National Tourism Coordination Board. PDDC has been revamped and made an effective body to promote tourism inside and outside Pakistan. This government has also introduced first-time e-visa facilities for 191 countries. There's now a national tourism strategy for 10 years, and federal government and provincial governments are all working hand in hand to promote and develop the tourism-related facilities and infrastructure. And various new projects are in the pipeline these days. And hopefully, in next 5 years, Pakistan infrastructure in terms of tourism facilities will be much more better than the present. Pakistan is also very soon launching a tourism brand named to promote Pakistan abroad and among the overseas Pakistani. And we have also now worked on a national tourism standards to improve the qualities and services. A national tourism portal is also going to be launched very soon, which will provide all the detailed information about tourist sites and facilities in Pakistan. One of the airport in the high mountain at Skardu has been declared as international airport. And very soon, direct flights from European countries, Middle East, and hopefully from Kathmandu as well, and China will start landing at this airport. And people will have a direct access to the high mountains through the international flights, especially for the promotion of adventure tourism. Government is also now privatizing most of the government rest houses and motels. And very soon, a large number of private investment is coming to improve the overall facilities and standards of these motels. Already 50% of these motels are in the final stage of privatization, and rest of them will be privatized in the next 1.5 months. So quite a lot of things are happening in tourism promotion and development. I hope my other counterpart from the provincial government will share about the plans and policies which they are also making to promote tourism at the regional level. A most important aspect in the terms of facilitation is the Pakistan and China economic corridor, which is linking Pakistan from the north to the south through a great corridor, which is a network of road and the side road. And all along this economic corridor of Pak-China, there are now greater opportunities coming for the new investment because number of areas have been marked at various locations where the tourism zones will be created in all the provinces and the regions of Pakistan. And when the new investment will come, obviously, it will further strengthen the tourism infrastructure. And we are very much optimistic that in coming 5 to 6 years, Pakistan will become one of the greatest tourist destinations in South Asia, in the Asia-Pacific region. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening and for your patience. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for such a detailed presentation and briefing. Moving on, I would now request Mr. Mohammad Ashgar Harifal, Secretary, Culture and Tourism Department, Balochistan, to apprise about the breathtaking beauty and natural landscape of the province of Balochistan. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Your Excellency, Pakistan Ambassador to Norway, Babar Amin, for holding this webinar on an important subject like tourism in Pakistan. Tourism is the thriving sector in Pakistan, and the Pakistani government has allocated huge resources. On the same pattern, Balochistan government has also allocated huge resources for promotion of tourism. Let me start my presentation with the map of Balochistan. Here it shows the tourist site, different cities, and the main cities areas from different areas. And the potential areas here I have identified in Balochistan. There are many areas, but these are the areas where Balochistan has huge potential. First, starting from the ecotourism. Ecotourism being having a large mass of area in Balochistan, there are different areas and different ecosystems. Starting from the coastal areas, which is nearly 770 kilometers, making 82% of the coastal areas of Pakistan. To the highland areas, which include the high mountains of Suleiman, extending from Punjab, KP, and to Afghanistan. The second potential area is the heritage tourism. Heritage Balochistan claims to be the oldest civilization area, heritage site of Mehergarh. Mehergarh is nearly 7,000 to 5,000 and 3,000 to 500,000 year BC it existed. The next is the culture tourism. Balochistan, being a vast area, is nearly 4 zones of the languages. And with that languages, they have developed distinct cultures of their areas. In the south, with the coastal areas, we have the Baloch culture. In the middle of Balochistan, it is Barawi culture. And in the north, with the NWP province, we have the Pashtun culture. While at the eastern side, we have the Balochi culture mixed up with the Sindhi culture. So it is a diverse culture, the whole province. Coming to the religious tourism, Balochistan is one of the 3 most sacred sites of Hinduism Shakti domination. And that is the Hanglaj Devi Mandir. It is in Lasbela district, nearly 350 kilometers from Karachi district. And the adventurism tourism, we have high mountains. The Suleiman mountain in one of the highest peak is Tafti Suleiman, which is nearly 11,400 feet high. And the second is the Khalifa mountain, which is in Zarat. It is nearly 11,700 feet high. It is also in Balochistan. And the next is medical tourism. Balochistan is an attractive area for medical tourism for Afghanis, utilizing the facilities here in the capital city of Quetta. Next, I have selected some of the most prominent eco-tourist sites in Balochistan. Balochistan has the largest park. It is in Balochistan. It has an area of 6,100 kilometers, and it has 6 ecosystems. It has deserts as well as the plain areas. Among the floras, nearly 250 plants have been identified in this park, as well as the 35 species of the mammals have been found in the same park. 65 types of amphibians and reptiles are found in this park. Same is the case with the birds. 185 types of birds have been identified in this park. Balochistan has 770 kilometers from the 990 kilometer coastal area of Pakistan. And among these, the main coastal area cities are Sumiani, Jivni, Pasni, Gwadar. Coming to the Gwadar city is the main thriving city of Pakistan. It is going to be the main modern city of Pakistan, and it is the main hub where the CPEC will end. It is the deep sea port and will have modern infrastructure. The Kund Malir beach, 2018, it was identified by Flight Networks as one of the most exotic beaches of the world. It is still in its pristine stage. It is very clean despite the heavy influx of the visitors to this area. It still has clean and blue water. Next is the Suleiman Mountains. Suleiman Mountains, as I earlier stated, it extends from Punjab and further into Afghanistan. It has Next is the Ziyarat city. It was the final resting place of our founder of Pakistan. It has world-known juniper forest, thousands of years old, and it has main popularity of this site is that it has continental weather. In cold weather, it is the most favorite site of the visitors for its snow. And while in the summer weather, it is an attractive place for the tourists coming from the lowland areas of the country. Pir Ghaib, it is another a very attractive eco-tourism site. It is in the Bolan district and it is visited by nearly, every year it is visited by nearly 300,000 visitors. It has a natural fountain gushing out from a mountain. In the surrounding, it is totally a desert area. Only in this area, just a fountain coming out from a mountain. It is a beautiful area and a natural forest has grown around it. This is the picture of the Hanglaj Mandir. Nearly 250 Hindu tourists, religious yatris, they visit everywhere in the summer month. It is a sacred place for a denomination of Hindu religion, Shaktism. In Shaktism, there are 51 sacred places, and 3 are in Pakistan. One of them, the highest, mostly visited area, is the Hanglaj Mandir. In the same park where there is this Hanglaj Mandir, there is also a mud volcano. Mud volcano, it is the largest mud volcano of Pakistan. It is called Chandrakup mud volcano. It is at a high place, nearly 330 feet tall, and it has 49 feet diameter. Mostly the yatris go there for its sacredness of the place. There they offer their food, which they have cooked. This time they also offer like pulses, the dry fruits, and other eateries they offer at the place on this volcano. Next, I have identified the rules. Here I have these 3 laws exist in the province which regulate the standard of the tourism in providing tourism facilities, and they include Travel Agencies Act, wherein the travel agencies who provide the tourism services to the tourists, their services are regulated through Travel Agencies Act. And the next is Tourist Guide Act. In the Hotel and Restaurant Act, it is under implementation in the province, and these 2 serve to regulate the hotel and restaurant services. Balochistan is a very attractive place for its archaeological assets. It has different times archaeological assets. They include the Paleolithic age, and these assets are found in La Spela, the cave city, the rock shelters, cave paintings in Mastung, in Zob and Suleiman mountains are Paleolithic age sites. Among the Mesolithic age, they are Bolan, Kirtar, Mustung, Lorlai, and Mesolithic are in Gadani. The archaeological assets of Neolithic age are scattered up. They are all over in Balochistan. Mehergarh is one of the sites. As earlier I explained, it is a Neolithic site and it is 7,000 years old, even older than Harappa in Mohenjo-daro. This is the Mehergarh site. Next, coming to the preservation infrastructure development, the government of Balochistan has taken the steps there. These all are a protection project is introduced to preserve these places. In Balochistan, this time recently, it is yet to be inaugurated, and this is going to be inaugurated in the month of, in the next month. Balochistan has got a state-of-the-art new museum in this, wherein the Balochistan artifacts will be displayed, and further two other museums we have in Gwadar and Turbat. Coming to the cultural assets, Balochistan has the cultural assets. As earlier I explained, the Balochi, Baravi, and Sindhi culture zones we have in the province. And this time we have developed in the province 3 art centers. And further we are going to establish divisional these culture centers in the divisional headquarters. Major artistic expressions are that the Balochi, Pashto, and Sindhi dances, attractive shows. We have different culture events, and among the embroidery, the cape, cloth, tent, and bed sheets are embroidered and very attractive in the market. Among the music, the instrument, we have flute and harmonium. The main cultural events in Balochistan are the Balochi Culture Days, Pashtun Culture Days, Sindhi Culture Day, and the Baravi Culture Days are celebrated in the province. And these are very attractive events for the tourists, for domestic as well as the international tourists. Same is the case that our 4 languages, we have earmarked certain days for celebration of the local cultural days. And the spring event, which is celebrated in this whole region, in Afghanistan, Iran, in Balochistan area, it is Nowruz. Nowruz is the welcome ceremony of spring, and it is celebrated in the month of March. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you.
Due to paucity of time, each worthy speaker may kindly restrict to 10 minutes presentation. Okay, moving on. Now I would request Mr. Asadullah Faiz, Secretary Tourism Department and Managing Director Tourism Development Corporation of Punjab, to highlight the marvels of the history of province of Punjab, ancient archaeological and heritage sites, and the rich and diverse subcultures of the province of Punjab. Sir, over to you, please.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to thank and appreciate the efforts of Pakistan's embassy in Norway, and special thanks to His Excellency Ambassador Babar Amin Sahib, that he took this initiative, and it is a really highly required initiative. We expect the same from the other embassies of Pakistan all around the world as well. And as it's a great, I think, a great source of showcasing Pakistan's tourism And I would not like to go into details of different sites because MD PTDC has quite thoroughly covered all the sites of whole Pakistan. I would just like to talk about Punjab and the initiatives and efforts being taken by the government to attract the tourists by branding Punjab's tourism as, first of all, safe and secure tourism. And when we talk about promotion of tourism, first of all, I would like to share with you that Government of Punjab is following a very methodical approach to promote tourism. Like we started from identifying the tourism zones, and Punjab was divided into 5 tourism zones. One is in north, which covers famous Murray Hills as well, and the Salt Range, some part of Salt Range, located in district Jhelum. Then second zone is Soon Valley zone. This is not very broadly or well known around the world, though we local know about its beauty and its serenity, but it's quite, you can say, a hidden treasure of Punjab. There we have a series of lakes and beautiful, serene, and very. And by the way, I would like to share that this area is covered in Ramsar Lake Convention as well. So you can imagine the eco-sensitivity of this area, and we are exactly following the guidelines given by Ramsar Lake Convention. And then third zone is Lahore. Lahore is basically hub of urban tourism, as we are talking about different kind of tourism. So Punjab is, first of all, really blessed with that it has every type of tourism: natural tourism, heritage tourism, cultural tourism, adventure tourism, safari tourism, urban tourism. So Lahore is hub of urban tourism and heritage tourism. And the richness of Punjab in terms of tourism can also be reckoned by the fact that out of 6 World Heritage Sites of Pakistan, 3 are located in Punjab. And then the fourth zone is South Punjab. South Punjab, as MDTDCP already mentioned, that it is on the boundary of Sindh, and like Sindh, it is known as a hub of religious tourism. And like Uch Sharif, and then there is also safari tourism in the south. And another 5th zone is very important. We call it Fort Monroe. Actually, it covers the whole Koh Suleiman mountain range. And some of us may be surprised to know that it is at the height of Murray, and this is the place in south where you can experience snowfall in winter. Although southern Punjab is known to be a very hot area, and even there are some peaks which are more 7,500 feet plus height. So it's a very different, you can say, a natural tourist spot. And then second stage, the government of Punjab has prepared 4 destination investment and management plans of different sites, which includes Lahore Museum, Texla Museum, Rohtas Fort, and Hiran Minar. Because it's very important when we talk about promotion of tourism that we should have proper destination investment and management plans. And then we prepared 11 site management plans. So we are basically adopting a very methodical approach that when we go to showcase our tourism, we should be able to showcase it with its proper destination plan, site plan, investment plan. And then subsequently, after devising a complete landscape of tourism of Punjab, then we started infrastructural upgradation and improvement of tourist sites. And you would be glad to know that in order to control over tourism of Murray, we have opened a new site of Koti Satyam, which is at the same height as that of Murray and as beautiful as that of Murray. So our now focus is to balance between over tourism and under tourism. And therefore, we are now focusing more on southern Punjab, on peripheral area like Soon Valley, alternate sites of crowded tourist sites like Murray, which is Koti Satya. And another activity is a very important part of Punjab government that we are promoting the tours. Because government of Punjab, as provision of Prime Minister and CM, Chief Minister of Punjab, our focus is that government should make the basic interventions and give the plan and present it before the investors, before the tourists, then give the best facilities, and then give the niche to private sector. They come forward, they take over, and all our resorts, tourist resorts are going to be outsourced. Out of 29, 20 have been outsourced. So Punjab is actually a great opportunity, even for those who want to invest, that we have proper investment plan if people want to invest in tourism sector. And we want to offer safe and secure tourism to particularly foreign tourists. And for that purpose, we have entered into an agreement with Kareem. Kareem is a transport service, and they provide a very secure trips, and it's an internationally recognized transport service. And we have developed our app, which is accessible, and you can visit the sites. You will get the complete detail. You can arrange your tours. You can make your bookings on that site. And this site is now we will offer to private sector, like Kareem has collaborated with us. Similarly, for booking in hotels, we can use this app. And actually, this step has been taken to introduce a secure tourism, because we have already suffered a lot because of this single aspect. But I just want to assure that we have made all efforts, and we have all the systems in place that we can offer safe tourism as well. And the rest, if I just start talking about the beauty of our sites, I think it may take hours and hours. And moreover, MD PTDC has very comprehensively covered all the sites and the beauty and aesthetics of our different sites. And just one last thing, that religious tourism is a very important feature of Punjab, and Punjab is very rich in religious tourism. And we have the holiest places of Sikh religion, as well as Buddhist religion as well. And we have a great potential as well, because if I would just like to share one figure with you, that in 2015, Pakistan's tourism and travel and tour contribution to GDP was 2.8% of GDP, which is around 780 billion. And then it went up to 3.1 billion in 2016, which comes to 1,000 billion. And on the same projection, we expect to see its growth up to more than 4,000 billion by 2028. And all our efforts, all our preparation has been planned, has been designed, keeping in view these projections. And these are very low projections. I must share it very frankly, that it's basically just 0.3% per annum increase. Whereas 40% of our tourism is faith-based, which has not been tapped up to even 10%. And everywhere in the world, it's a common feature that 40% of world's tourism is faith-based. So these figures, I think, very clearly reflect the great potential of tourism in Pakistan, and Punjab being half of Pakistan definitely has great potential. And I would, at the end, I would again like to thank His Excellency Babar Amin Saab and all the other audience. And it's a great effort, and we are looking towards such efforts being done by our embassies. And otherwise, you are the ambassador, and I believe you should become ambassador of tourism and promote it further, just inform the people. And I would like to send you, we have recently published our tourism song and documentary just for branding and showcasing of Punjab's tourism. I would send it to His Excellency Babar Amin Saab, and I would request you to share it with all. It's a beautiful song. Now I don't have a time to play it. Even if you want to, then I can at the end. If you have some time, I would like to play it. It's just 3-4 minutes long, but I will definitely send it to you, sir. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for such a detailed briefing and presentation. It is once again requested that all the worthy speakers kindly restrict to 10 minutes time slot. Moving on, I would now request Mr. Raja Rashid Ali, Secretary, Tourism, Sports, Culture, Archaeology and Museum, Government of Gilgit-Baltistan, to highlight the beauty of Gilgit-Baltistan, world's highest mountain peaks, captivating landscapes and ethno-linguistic diversity. Sir, over to you. Sir Raja Rashid Ali, are you here with us?
Yes, please. Do you hear me, please?
Yes, sir. Please go on.
Honorable Ambassador, respected secretaries, MDPTDC, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all well-wishers who are connected from across the world online. Very good afternoon, very good morning, and evening, and Assalamu alaikum. I think some of the introduction has already been made by the Honorable Ambassador and also by MDPDDC, thinking that I have thought to skip my presentation and just restrict myself to a documentary and a movie. I think that would better introduce Gilgit-Baltistan to you. And then if you have any questions, then we are there to respond to that. And just in short, I'd say that Gilgit-Baltistan happens to be in its original place, a wilderness where nature is there, and then you can just come and visit it. So I just request our embassy staff, please, to play the documentary.
Do you know the feeling? Somehow, even without having ever been there, I seem to already know its colors and be familiar with its tastes and sounds. Maybe I was here in a past life when I first stepped upon the soil of home. All of these visions were in fact true. I was back.
Well, in the end, I'd just like to say that GB happens to be such a place on the world which is wild in the sense that the gifts of nature are there as they are. Yet it would be a beautiful tourist destination if you consider it as a place. Now it is accessible and it would be one of the best tourist world destinations. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, sir, for showcasing the breathtaking documentary on Gateway Pakistan. Moving forward, I would now request Mr. Tashfeen Haider, Additional Secretary, Sports, Culture, Tourism, Archaeology, Museum and Youth Affairs Department from Government of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa to brief about the scenic beauty, ancient civilization and rich cultural heritage of the province of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Sir, over to you, please.
Thank you, madam. I would like to be in time and I will just start my presentation on it. Okay, next. Next. KP is home to the many of the country's most attractive destinations and experiencing all the four seasons. A hotspot for adventurers, the province is known for its diverse landscape. A treat for explorers, KP is also a treasure trove of historical sites and ancient monuments. With connectivity to Gilgit, Kashmir, Afghanistan, and KP is as a hub of incoming tourists. Vision plan of tourism in KP to promote the soft image of Pakistan, protect and promote heritage of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, ensure safety of tourists, make tourism destination accessible, reduce carbon footprints of tourism and ensure sustainability, facilitate the interaction of tourists with public-private entities in the tourism industry, make tourism memorable for visitors. We are also aligned with the SDGs, just like this you can see 8, 11, 12, 17 and 13. With age, we are creating job creations through ITZs. ITZ is a phenomena in our CTA Act through which we are preparing 4 zones selected recently, and its feasibility is in final stages, and we will offer it to the in public-private partnerships, just like mentioned in 17. Next. Integrated tourism zones organizing all the tourism facilities and attractions in one place. Developing of the new tourist areas and preservation of existing one at the cost of $27 million. Infrastructure development, new roads under development at a cost of $53 million. Focus on public-private partnership mode of financing, execute washroom, parking plazas, etc., which I will be mentioning it a little while later. Introducing competitiveness to the industry, outsourcing of prime properties to capable investors, just like Rana Saab also mentioned it, that we are outsourcing. The PTDC recently transferred 19 properties and outsourcing of 167 government properties are also in pipeline in our province. Safety of tourists is as a priority. We are integrated tourism plans drafted and operationalized at the cost of 29 million. Tourist facilitation hub provides 24/7 assistance to tourists. We have a toll-free number of 1422, which you can access from anywhere, and we will assist you on all the tourist areas. Whatever information you need is free of cost. Next. 6 major sites, just like Peshawar, Rana Sahab also mentioned it, the Pushkalavati civilization. Peshawar is the hub of and the oldest living city in this region. Chatral, again, we can see it through our Kailasha civilization, is also a beautiful place, just like Swat, Galiat, Naran. These are also tourist places. And Malam Jabba, we have the ski resorts where you can come and enjoy this facility. Next. 6 national parks, Ayubia, Browol, Chatral Gol, Saiful Maluk, Sheikh Badin, and Lulusar. Next. We have 6 green valleys, lush green valleys, Kumrat, Kalam, both in Swat valleys, Kurum, it's the border adjacent area, Birir, Bamburit, Rambur, all in Chatral, Palas is in Kohistan, and Siran of Hazara division. Next. We have 8 peaks over 7,000 meters. I need not reproduce all the names as due to scarcity of time. Next. We have 2 mighty rivers and 22 tributaries, Indus, as you know, and the Kabul River. Next. 8 glacial lakes, Saiful Maluk, Ansu, Mahudand, Dudupat, Kandol, Lulusar, Siri, and Godar. Next. We have also archaeological sites, just like Tafbai, Shapula, Stupa in Khyber, Gorgatri, Karwansarai in Peshawar city, Kafirkot and D.I. Khan, Bamala in Haripur, Lal Mahara graveyard in D.I. Khan, and Ashoka rock sedix. Next. We have 10 museums housing fascinating ancient artifacts. Peshawar Museum is the largest one, with having the largest artifacts on the Gandhara civilization. Deer Museum, Swat, Banu, Mardan, Chatral, Pushkalavati, Kailasha, City Museum, Gorgatri, and Hund Museum. Next. We have rich cultural heritage like Pashtun, Hazarvi, Sufi, Kailasha, all living and historical legacy of Hindu, Sikh, and Buddhist influences. Land of poetry and song. We have great many number of poets, but I mentioned it 10, and countless number of international renowned writers. Indigenous arts and crafts festivals held across the province. 8 genres of music with 3 unique instruments, province-wise concert. Recently, we held a music gala of Pak Afghan, numbering around 150 musicians from both the countries were sitting on the Music Freedom Day on 3rd March. We have delicious cuisines. I need not reproduce all the names. Next. Gandhara Festival 2020 recently held, Gandhara Trail, Heritage Trail, all on the ground. Next. Held various events, Aptabad Jeep Rally, Tour de Galiat, Shandur Polo Festival, Jashn Khaybar, Chilim Just, Chatral, Hunor Mela, Art, and Mela Yaran. We have some tour packages as well. You can easily check the amount of in dollars mentioned at the bottom. That's scenic showground. You can come for 3 days on $285. We have as low as $20 per Kharpur Adventure, and at some higher stage of Kailash Valley on $1,900. Integrated tourism zones spanning of 9 northern districts in a belt covering 11 million acres. Work on 4 ITZ is underway, while the 4 more are being considered. The areas connected to the federal and provincial capitals and airports by all-weather metal highway. ITZ seek to organize and gather all tourist attraction and facilities in one geographical contiguous and accessible area. ITZ shall necessarily have excellent road, robust sanitation apparatus, and a stable supply of utilities. ITZs are being developed with a minimal carbon footprint in mind. Already, ITZs are being shown interest by major foreign investors in Dubai Expo, as we have signed around $8 billion of MOUs with foreign investors recently. Opportunities for investors in KP tourism. As I mentioned, ITZ is a major avenue for public-private partnerships, and I will share all the details with the embassy staff. If any of you are interested in it, I will present and share all the details with them. Executive restrooms along tourist clearing roads are also garnering attention of private sector. Parking plazas and shuttle services in major tourist destinations, outsourcing of high-value government rest houses, as I mentioned earlier. Thank you very much.
So thank you, sir, for such a good and informative presentation. Moving on, Pakistan Association of Tour Operators, PATO, is credibly well known to organize tours in Pakistan. I would request Mr. Maqsood Ul-Mulk, Chairman, Pakistan Association of Tour Operators, who is joining us virtually, to share his thoughts. Sir, please, over to you. Mr. Maqsood Ul-Mulk.
Yes, my speaker was off. Your Excellency, Mr. Babar Amin, respected secretaries from 4 of the provinces, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow tour operators from Norway as well as Pakistan, good afternoon and assalamu alaikum. First of all, I would like to introduce the association that I represent as a chairman. The Pakistan Association of Tour Operators is the only registered body and as an association of tour operators from all the provinces of the country. This includes Sindh, Balochistan, Punjab, the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, GB and Kashmir. So the tour operators from all the provinces are members of this association. And we take on only those members who are government licensed tour operators who practice a standard that we see through various trips that they do. The Pakistan Association of Tour Operators, basically, it doesn't organize tours by itself. It's the members that we facilitate, and how we facilitate is by sitting with the government, the federal government, the provincial governments, to formulate the policies where tour operators in countries like Norway or other countries around the world, the issues that they face in running a smooth trip into the country, we try to formulate by giving that information to the government and streamlining the policies in a direction which is friendly, easier, and easy to manage. So this is how we build up on Pakistan's reputation by streamlining government policies, whether it has to do with the e-visa, whether it has to do with various other formalities, various other restrictions or permits and things. We given that feedback to the government where we're asked for it and try to streamline and ease out those things. PATO's members bring their professional experience into playing this role, with the government, because the real feedback is from the tour operators on how things are moving in what directions. So this is what we address. We look forward to working with our counterparts in Norway, who are not new to us. Being from the tourism industry myself, when the name of Norway comes to me, it comes, the very first name that comes to me is Arne Næss, your famous philosopher. Way back when Pakistan was just born, Arne Næss was planning a trip to the highest peaks in the Hindu Kush. In fact, your famous mountaineer philosopher, the peak that he climbed way back in the 50s, no one has yet scaled that face of the peak, 7,708 meters, Tirishmere. And this went on in his families, with Arne Næss Jr., I on a lighter note, I don't think his first love was Diana Ross. It was the mountains. And he always said that if I didn't risk my life in the mountains, I would be playing some golf or something else which never interested me. And Arne Næss's philosophy was, deep ecology, being whether human, animal, or vegetable, having an equal right to live and to blossom peacefully. Now, that is what tourism does, brings us closer to each other from various countries. And we try to understand each other. We try to meet the people from this region where Mr. Aftab Rana had given a very detailed, background of the living culture of Pakistan, where you get to see people, where you get to meet people, where you get to understand the country better through its people, through attitudes, through, and that is what we aim to mutually spread out in both countries. Your mountaineers, there are numerous of them, and we have always considered them to take all, fascinating routes to peaks, whether it's the Norwegian buttress on the Tarango Tower, or whether some of them climbing, even the ladies climbing K2, from your region. So we have always looked to them as taking on the challenging trips in Pakistan. Coming away from the adventure tourism of mountaineering and trekking, where a lot of you have been into the Norwegian counterparts, I would love to see the Norwegians promoting winter tourism in Pakistan. And this is not just the ski resorts that we are developing. It's the cross-country skiing. You don't need those resorts. It's cross-country skiing that you are the most famous cross-country skiers in the world, the Norwegians, and we would like you to see you in our mountains. Just a few years back, there was a French expedition, that did a 10 to 14 days cross-country skiing over high mountain passes of 14,000 feet. That is the kind of things that we would like to see the Norwegians coming in and doing. And Pakistan Association of Tour Operators, with its 200 members, there's just a few of us today over here participating in the seminar, because all of them can't come in over here. Our lists, we are putting them up with each embassy, all those 200 members. So each one gets a chance to work with your counterparts in Norway. They're all experienced people from different regions of Pakistan, and they could make a wonderful trips for you, and we look forward to building up this relationship. I would like to thank our ambassador, Babar Amin Saab, for taking this initiative, for making us sit together and exchanging things. If there's any question, I'll be willing to answer those. But I think there's plenty of members from both sides. From your Norwegian side, especially, I would like to hear things, and thank you very much.
Mr. Maksoodullah Sahib, we will like to have questions, answers with you at the end of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for the valuable information and remarks. Moving on, we are very grateful for having with us Mr. Gunnar Sjorden, representing Escape Travel Agency of Norway, to share his personal experiences of visiting Pakistan. So please.
Mr. Ambassador, dear colleagues and friends. My experience with Pakistan is quite old. I'm old. Early 2000s, and Pakistan was different then. Roads were different, I understand. Hotels were different, I understand. Things have happened in the meantime. But let me first say that in a powerful team of resourceful people like here now, I feel a little bit humble. Please bear with me, and I try to make up with some enthusiasm. And it's very easy to make up with enthusiasm for what I have seen in Pakistan. Let me start at a gloomy note. We arrived at Hunza in a late September afternoon. It was cloudy, it was drizzling, we were tired. We had flown into Islamabad via London. It's a long journey, long time in transit at Heathrow, tiring journey, arriving early in the morning. Wow, that light of Islamabad, it's white. Very, very different from any time of the year in Norway. It's so white, it's so impressive. No time to rest, breakfast in the hotel. Our Pearl Tour friends gave us a good hotel, Pearl Continental, good breakfast, then out for sightseeing, the huge Faisal Mosque. It's overwhelming, takes 100,000 prayers, I understand. Then out to the bazaars of Rawalpindi. It's a culture shock, a lot of high fives. We didn't have much common language, but high fives work. There were a lot of smiles and friendly gestures. Easy for men, a little different for the ladies in the group. But let me step aside for a moment. When I was preparing for this, I spoke to a repeated client of mine who has been traveling with me many times. She is a bus driver with the bus company in Oslo and working with a lot of Pakistani bus drivers, of course. And she was invited home to Punjab with one of them. And I said, no, you don't go, single lady at 40 years old with a Pakistani man. She said, I'll go. Took some time to get the visa. But after some meetings here at the embassy, or maybe it was in Ekersberggaten, some cups of teas and some biscuits, she got the visa and left. And I spoke to her yesterday, and she said it was the trip of my lifetime. She was taken good care of from the beginning to the end. Even the guards with huge Kalashnikovs on the roadblocks were polite, correct, friendly, no problems whatsoever. So for those Norwegians here who consider arranging tours to Pakistan, go ahead. And when I heard the secretaries talk about their concerns for security in tourism, I feel even better. Well, we left. Islamabad is on the crossroads of two main roads in Asia. The Karakoram Highway, the new economic corridor, what the Chinese call the Road and Belt, going from China down to the Indian Ocean, and the Grand Trunk Road of the Mughal times and before, from Kabul, from Afghanistan, their homeland, all the way across the subcontinent, all the way to the banks of Indus near Dhaka. Two great roads cross at Islamabad. So we took the right turn. Taxila came up very quickly. I must admit, I didn't know of the Buddhist heritage of Pakistan. But after 2 or 3 visits, I know a little more. Taxila is a great place. It was a huge Buddhist university in the first centuries after Christ, and there are still remnants of the monastery, and there is a small on-site museum as well. And if I may step aside from this thing for a moment, they say that in Taxila, in Gandhara region, the Buddhists met with the Greeks, and they started making sculptures of the Lord Buddha in Greek style, standing up like this. The Greek Hellenistic style, one knee in front of the other to make the robe fall naturally and beautiful. That was an invention of Buddhism in Pakistan almost 2,000 years ago, and it's interesting to see. And now I have read more. I know that there are so many more interesting Buddhist sites between Islamabad and the Afghan border up towards Peshawar. In Burma, I heard about the Peshawar relics, which are small pieces of bones of the Lord Buddha, which was grabbed by the British and installed in Mandalay. And they still talk about Peshawar relics in Burma. There are many places. We continued. We had an uneasy night at Besham. They had a hotel run by the government, and I don't think governments should run hotels. And now I understand they don't anymore. You are nationalizing those government properties, and I think that's smart. So we continued to the north, came up to a point where two tectonic plates meet each other, the Eurasian tectonic plate and the Indian tectonic plate. And they meet, they crash, and they build up the Himalayas, the land of the snow. A little further on, there is a point where three main mountain ranges meet, the Hindu Kush, the killer of Hindus coming in from Afghanistan, the Karakoram, the mountains of black gravel, and the Himalayas. They all meet very near Gilgit, which was a revelation because they had a wonderful hotel. They had the Serena Hotel owned by the Aga Khan, and that says all. It's a beautiful property. And we went out in the bazaar in the morning. Those fantastic men with their huge mustaches, huge turbans, and hair dyed in all shades from orange to pink to deep red to black. They looked fantastic. They looked fantastic. And they were so friendly. We smiled, they smiled, we made photos, they smiled again, and Gilgit was really, really good. In some stages, the valley, the Indus Valley, got very narrow. In some places, we didn't stop because in those days, it was not smart to stop and talk to people. A little too many Kalashnikovs around. But we made it through and we came up to Gilgit in the late afternoon, cloudy, misty, drizzling. Where was Rakapoche? Nanga Parbat? Yes, we passed it on the way. It was clear in the morning. But when we came as far up as the Hunza Valley, clouds and drizzle. We had a nice dinner. The hotel is owned or was owned by the Rani, the queen of Hunza, the wife of the late prince of Hunza. And her Durbar, her court hotel was good food. We even got a can of beer. They are Ismailis, so they are a little bit more liberal than down in the lowlands. But only one can. No, don't worry, only one can. And we went to bed early. We were tired after those long, long days on the road. But as I was retiring to my room, I got a feeling that something was happening. So I went out, and I saw movement in the clouds. So I went out to the corridor, knocking on all the doors, and said, "Come out, come out, come out. Let's go to the roof." And as we got to the roof of the hotel, the Lord pulled away the curtain, and we had a 200 degrees panorama of the Karakorums and the Hindu Kush and the Himalayas. All those almost 8,000 meter high mountains on a long row, shining under a full moon. As you hear, I have problems in my throat when I talk about it. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful for maybe 15 minutes. Then he decided to draw the curtain again, and we could go to bed and sleep with very sweet dreams. It was unforgettable. This was, I think, in 2006, and you can hear from my voice that I will never forget it. The next morning, we did some sightseeing, climbing up and down the stairs of Karimabad in Hunza. It's on a hillside, so it's a lot of stairways. We were invited in to our guide. He was unmarried, but his sister opened his house and we had tea. We went to see the orchards of apples and apricots. There are beautiful pictures. A little later in the autumn, they put out all the apricots on the fields to dry them. Colorful fields of apricots. And then up to the fort, the old residence of the Prince of Hunza. The fort has been restored recently with some funding from NORAD, from the Norwegian Office of Development Aid. So Norwegians were known up there. And we had that meeting with the girls working for the restoration project. They were Ismailis, so they were again a little more liberal. They took off the headscarves, came out proud young ladies talking about the project. And it was fantastic. Go to Hunza. Go to Hunza. We continued up the Indus Valley, had our passport control at Soest, came up to the point where the road starts winding. It's different now because in 2010, there was a landslide. The roadside fell out. It was dammed. The river was dammed. And it's now a long lake, good for boating and new hotels, I understand. And with Chinese assistance, the Pakistani government has built a brand new road with tunnels, like only Chinese assistance can do. So we had to go all the way along the river, up, a winding road. The Trollstigveien in Norway is nothing compared to what we did on the way up to the Kunjera Pass. 4,700 and some meters above sea level. We had lunch packets, and I always know that packed lunches are not very delicious. So I brought some Norwegian caviar, which is a sandwich spread coming in tubes. And the altitude kicked me out completely. So I started serving the caviar by holding the tubes, one in each hand, and shooting from the hip. I am normally not so silly, but the altitude made me silly. Almost 7,000 kilometers left to Beijing. We went to Kashgar, but that's a different story. The road is closed now. China is closed for tourists, and I'm not so sure that Xinjiang province will open for tourists very soon anyway. But that's my personal experience of a little bit of my personal experience of the Silk Road of the Karakoram Highway. It was a great adventure. If I get a chance to come back, I want to go to the Peshawar side if the Norwegian government and the travel advice is okay. But I would like to go over to Lahore. For some time, the capital of the Mughal Empire. No city in the subcontinent have more Mughal monuments than the city of Lahore. More than Delhi, more than Agra, nothing like the Taj Mahal, of course, but there are two mosques, one of them built by Shah Jahan, who built Taj Mahal, and one built by his son Aurangzeb, and they are worth visiting. I know, I have been there once. When I was young, backpacking way back in 1977, I was traveling in Iran in July. Can you imagine? Tehran in July, kind of hot. Came up to Kabul. Kabul was cooler. Down to Peshawar on the Indian subcontinent with all the noise and heat and dust and all that. I rushed over to Lahore, and it was not good. I didn't see much because it was August. It was very, 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 very hot. Don't go to Pakistan in August, I think. It was hot. There had been a military takeover a couple of months now, few weeks earlier. So it was under martial law, and it was Ramadan. So it was a bit difficult. I locked myself up at the YMCA. They had water, at least, in the middle of the day. And then I rushed over to the other side of the border, up to Srinagar and Ladakh to cool down. But I want to go back and see those mosques and study the Muslim architecture of Lahore and the city itself. And I want to go, as we have heard earlier in the presentations, I want to go down to those early Indus culture locations of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro. They were blooming at the time when the pharaohs built the pyramids, and they probably traded with Egypt at that time. So there are so many things, and through the presentations, we have learned that Pakistan is so much more. So when I spoke to this bus driver yesterday, she said, please tell them it's safe and there is so much to see. I look forward to going back. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for sharing such a poetic and exotic experience of visiting Pakistan. I will now give floor for group presentation by Mr. Mugan Jalil and Mr. Muhammad Inam Kade from Go Fly Norway on prospects of attracting the tourists from Norway, and the presentation would be then followed by brief remarks from Mr. Knut Lande and Ms. Guri Lande from Hunting Group. Over to you.
Thank you very much, honorable guests who have spoken over the digital communication era. And thank you for the opportunity for us to be here today and speak on behalf of Pakistan. I had prepared a presentation. I was going to talk a lot, but I think those who have spoken before me has covered it in such detail that I will just have to skim through so that I don't repeat myself and everything. And if there's any questions, and if anybody's wondering more about one of the points, then you're welcome to ask me in Q&A section later on. Inam, will you join me up here? I think you can just skip the first slide and start on the second one. Thank you. Next. So I think we've covered it a lot already, that Pakistan is a very rich country. I always say whenever I'm speaking to somebody outside as an ambassador of Pakistan tourism, that we have everything from laid back holidays at beaches to hectic city life and tall mountains for those who are interested. So basically, for every type of interest, we have something to offer. So I had gathered some of the photos. I called it Karakoram skyline. Like you see some of the city pictures where you see buildings. I see mountain peaks. And I've also taken one picture from Google Earth on the next slide. There. What's dotted in the middle with the red dot is K2, the highest peak in Pakistan. But I just took this picture just to show you that K2 is not the only mountain. It's surrounded by a lot of other worthy mountains for some adventurous climber who wish to explore the area. This is a picture of Kalam Valley. It looks like a painting to me. Absolutely fantastic area. We have a very rich and colorful culture, which is a lot different than what we are used to over in the European side. And we have obviously a lot of untouched and organic beaches. There hasn't been a lot of infrastructure. That's one thing. There's not many roads that lead there, but once you get there, it's absolutely magical. So we have a large potential for tourism to Pakistan. We have worked with certain groups in the past. In the COVID-19, when it came, we kind of stopped selling the package holidays, but we're working back onto it and to start. And inshallah, in the coming month or two, we should have some packages ready for already this summer, if somebody is interested. So I've gathered some of the points. It's a sightseeing holidays, mountain trekking and climbing, hunting of exotic animals, culture tourism for those who wish to explore food, music, and culture, religious tourism that consists of all temples and shrines and churches in Pakistan. We had also invited people from Gurdwara in Norway who have been to Pakistan several times, wanted to share their experience, but unfortunately, last minute family emergency, they could not participate today. And we have history tourism, archaeology, and heritage tourism, as we spoke about. So I will give word to Inam, who's been controlling the sightseeing and mountain trekking holidays.
Thank you very much. For mountain trekking and climbing, it's always been mentioned a bit. We have a trip about the base camp for K2 as well. We've had some people been there and they had a great experience. And we had all those valleys. Maybe go to the next one.
Yeah, I skipped the sightseeing because I think we've covered it a lot. So just not to repeat, but we can get back to mountain trekking because that's one of the trips that we organize. And we have had people in the past who've been there from Norway. And in a few years back, we actually had a reunion party from some people who climbed one of the mountains in the 80s, and they all were invited back to Pakistan for a reunion. So that was a very unique experience for a lot of those people. Ina?
Yeah. And the second trip we have is a Simshal Valley trekking trip. That is like 2 to 3 days trip from Hunza Valley. It's also a hunting destination and as a trekking trip. Then I would like to go to. Do you have on the most niche trip we have, that's the hunting exotic animals. Pakistan, together with other things, has some wild species that only exist in Pakistan, and hunters from all over the world comes to hunt those animals. But the problem was that locals were hunting those animals, and those animals were, almost threatening. And what Pakistan did with the WWF, they started a program called community-based hunting.
it means that only few number of animals were taken out per year, and 80% of that revenue was given back to the locals. So they stopped hunting. As I hope, as you know, that the national animal of Pakistan is called markhor, and to hunt that animal, you almost have to pay 150,000 American dollars. And 80% of that money goes back to the locals. What they do is they receive, clean water, schools, dispensaries, and hospitals. And that's been a win-win situation for the whole thing. Animals are thriving. We have great number of animals in Pakistan now. People are getting education and they have health facilities.
Okay, getting back to, we also have with us two guests, as Madam introduced, that we have Knut Lande and Guri Lande, who's been to hunting trips in Pakistan several times, I think, and I will call them up later on to share their experience. They've also brought some relics with them. Going to culture tourism, I will just say it quickly. We have a lot of untapped market in the culture tourism, and we can also arrange these trips for people. If you want to explore, it's a very polite and hospitable culture. People invite you into their homes. We have tasty food, rich variety. We have different types of music, as was mentioned before. There's also study groups that can be sent. For example, a musician in Norway or a group of musicians in Norway who wants to learn the classical instruments of tabla or sitar. I think they will find it a lot easier to do in that community rather than learning over YouTube or through a teacher here. We can make targeted trips, like if somebody wishes to especially participate in the Shandur Polo Festival, which is in July, or a Basant Mela, the kite festival in Lahore in January. You can make targeted group travels like this, or individual if there's not a lot of big group, or you can get like a regular hotel and a flight package and go out and explore on your own. Large potential for going to religious tourism. We have, as we mentioned, rich Sikh history in Pakistan. It was the origin of Sikh faiths. Their first Guru Nanak, it's his birthplace, and his last years were spent in Pakistan. So there are several highly profiled gurdwaras in Pakistan. And also I've written about, there's more than 400 Hindu temples, some of them dated more than 1,000 years old, that has not been taken care of, but Pakistan government is now working on restoring them. Round trip for Sikh Yatris, we've started working on that a few years back. There's already been groups, but we wish to make it so simple and easy access that not only groups near Guru Nanak's birthday go there, but individual families, a family of 4 who wishes to go, can also book a holiday all around the year. And it will be a very spiritual journey for them. There should be easy visa and trip set up for them, and then they can visit multiple gurdwaras from Pakistan rather than going through Kartarpur corridor from India. Then they can only visit one gurdwara. So we have also a lot of Christian churches that were built mostly in British era, but we have also some of the old ones. I have just given a few examples. 18th century church in Pakistan, which is still the biggest. When we come to historical or heritage tourism, the Mohenjo-daro Harappa textile, it's basically the Harappan civilization around the Indus Valley. It's already been covered, so I will just be very quick. The Mughal era monuments are spread all around Pakistan, especially and concentrated around Lahore. And there's also some monuments from Sher Shah Suri. He's not a familiar name in European history books, but he was also a very famous ruler in Pakistan who actually built the Grand Trunk Road that we're talking about. He also made postage systems and did a lot of development in Pakistan. So, yeah, basically study groups who are working on the history of civilizations have a lot to offer them in Pakistan. They can also be combined. And as you can see, I've highlighted the Mohenjo-daro, Mehrgarh, a lot of places from the Indus civilization that are in Pakistan. Some are on the other side of the border, but it's all spread around in the Indian subcontinent. So basically, we have countless possibilities for tourism. We have adventure tourism for those who wish to hunt or climb a mountain. We have shopping, who wish to buy colorful clothes and explore the city life. Or we have laid-back holidays where you can be near a beach and just have some good food and just relax for a few days. I will share the information for our contact with the embassy if somebody wishes to contact and find out more about this. And now I think I will give word to Knut and Guri Lande so they can tell about their experience to Pakistan. Thank you very much. Vi kan prøve å få det til musikken da, men foreløpig så kan dere bare si det kanskje.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Guri Lande, and this is my father. His name is Knut Lande, and my father has been on several trips to Pakistan. I joined him on one of his trips, and he has been hunting in the north of Pakistan many times. And you can see he brought some of his trophies from his huntings. And he has been hunting both the ibex and the blue sheep. And as already been said, this hunting program is a program to preserve the animals in the Karakoram. It's the west of Himalaya, because these animals, they were hunted a lot by the locals, and they were almost vanished from the area. So the hunting program is to protect the animals. And it's a wonderful trip to the north of Pakistan. You go up to the west of Himalaya, and in an altitude of about 3,000 meters. And you go spotting these fantastic animals. And you bring a lot of locals that work. We have drivers, you have guides, and you have spotters to see the animals. We have also brought some videos, and we will show them later in the Q&A session, and you can see more from the hunting trips. And we will also, please ask us questions if you want to know anything about hunting trips. And I would really recommend it. It's a very, very exciting thing to do, and it's also to support the communities in the north of Pakistan, as this is a very important income for the communities there. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your experiences. In the end, I would again request Ambassador Babar Amin for the concluding remarks.
We can have some Q&A.
The floor is open for any questions or remarks from the guests present here or the ones joining us virtually. Yes, please.
Yes. Once I was there, it was also bicycle.
Please, can you come this side? This fine. Fine.
On Saivos there, I saw some people who was bicycling, and I think it is a good country for bicycling because by foots or by electricity. And I also wonder, every time I have been there with Inam, and so we had a man down there, Kaiser Khan, who has organized all of that. So I wonder, can I now take a plane to Islamabad and so take a bus? I have always asked Inam to take a bus, but he said, no. You are not allowed to take the bus to Karakoram Highway. And I also wonder, is it a site where I can look at the different reisebyrå?
Travel agencies.
Yeah, travel agencies in Pakistan, someplace. Yes, and yeah, and I will also say, when I have been there up in the north, they are also making good jewelry, because it is some people who can dig. It is a special type of people who can dig out emeralds and so on, and so I make it. So I think that is a good thing to do. But is it one time when I am hunting there, is it now allowed to use a drone to take a picture? Because it was not allowed before. Perhaps now it is.
So I request some of the panelists if they could kindly answer the question that and the comments that can somebody from the panelists kindly reply to these queries, these questions? Yes, please go ahead. Mr. Raja, Mr. Raja.
I think we may request one of the member of PATO. We have a lot of tour operators who are well experienced in handling all these queries and questions which has been asked, to please respond to these questions. Mr. Khwaja Jahazeb, would you like to answer a few of the questions? And then maybe Mr. Shiraz, and there's a Mr. Irfan Beg from Walgis Travel. Khwaja Sahab, can you unmute your mic, please? Yes, it is on now.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I am really appreciate the effort of Excellencies Ambassador Babar Amin to arrange a so excellent promotion for the tourism of Pakistan. And I really like the presentation by the Mr. Aftab Rana. It is covered all over Pakistan. I have a question with His Excellencies Ambassador of Pakistan or any employee of the Pakistan Embassy in Oslo. How many population of the Pakistan living in your area, and what kind of efforts of the Pakistan Embassy to promote Pakistan tourism among the Pakistani living abroad? Because I'm a very senior person in this travel trade, I know that thousand and I don't know lakhs of Pakistani living in the Scandinavian country. So this is my one question, and I'm also asked the question with Mr. Go Fly Quick, Mr. Jalil. Okay, how many Pakistanis are living in Oslo and the book, the tour from you, and how much you have an effort to promote Pakistan as a tourist destination among the Pakistani living in their area. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Faisal. With regard to the number of Pakistanis, we have about 50,000 people of Pakistan origin living in Norway. These include the third generation Pakistanis.
Yes.
And today's summit is one of such efforts which we do in order to promote tourism in Pakistan, tourism in Norway, and also we also meet, for example, last year we had a meeting with the young Pakistani entrepreneurs of Norwegian entrepreneurs of Pakistani origin, and we also briefed them, besides other investment and business opportunities in Pakistan, we also briefed them about the tourism potential of Pakistan. So we do keep a close engagement with Norwegians of Pakistan origin. But I would request you that if you could kindly, being a senior tour operator, reply to some of the queries raised by our Norwegian participants. So if you or anybody else could, from the tour operators, maybe I would request Mr. Maksudul Mulk, if he is there, or some of the other tour operators could reply to the questions that were raised by our worthy Norwegian participants.
Yeah, if no one else is going to answer, I can handle a few of the question. I think some of the information maybe is a kind of miscommunicated. Foreigners are allowed to travel on public transport. There's no issue in that. And many backpackers and individual traveler usually take a bus from Islamabad to Gilgit. Even there's a car service in which 4 passengers can travel from Pindi to Gilgit and to Skardu as well. And now there's a much better, even air-conditioned buses available for Skardu as well. But the only thing, obviously, is the security concern. So we recommend that whosoever is coming to Pakistan should try to plan its trip through a registered tour operator in Pakistan or over there in your own country. Without taking the services of a registered tour operator, there could be some difficulties, and you can easily avoid that. And keep in mind, Pakistani tour operators are very accommodating, and they are very reasonable in prices, not much expensive. So there's a website of Pato. If you go on Pato website, you will find details of more than a large number of 200 tour operators who are registered and licensed operator and very well experienced in handling visitors. You have mentioned about the drone photography. Yes, there are few areas which are restricted. You need to have permit for that, but it is not the problem everywhere. Many places where you can take photographs by drone, that's no problem. So that's why we recommend that if you are accompanied by a tour operator, the guides are experienced, they know each and every place, so you are not in any difficulty while traveling along with the registered operator. Cycling is a very, very an interesting activity which is gaining momentum in Pakistan now, especially many foreigners I've seen personally are now traveling on Karakoram Highway. But again, you need to travel in a smaller group, maybe assisted by a tour operator. Now, even people are organizing in Pakistan, their companies who are specialized in organizing biking trips in various parts of Pakistan. So yes, a mountain biking, motorized biking trips or jeep rallies can be organized, and there are operators available. In hunting, yes, there are very good outfitters available in Pakistan. We have one of the experienced person sitting in this group, Mr. Ikram Beg from Adventure Center, who has recently hunted successfully trophy hunting program in Pakistan, and we have some others who are well experienced in that. Mr. Shiraz Punja is sitting there. He's well experienced in organizing even cross-border tours with Central Asia and handling cultural tours coming from Central Asia via China to Pakistan. So lots of experience is available within the tourism industry with the tour operator who can provide you best services. The only request, because these days there's quite a lot of misinterpretation as well due to social media. Request us, we can recommend you a good operator, or you can directly go to the website of Pato, and there's a list of all the tour operator available, and you can select them, and they are all, authentic, licensed, and well-experienced tour operator, and willing to provide all the services which are required. And whenever there's a query, you can send it on the Pato email address, and there's a dedicated person available in their office, and they can respond to your question.
Sir, I'm Asdullah Faiz, Secretary Tourism Punjab. Sir, I would like to comment on this provision of getting the tour registered or planned with some licensed tour operators. Sir, I think that it needs to be revisited because recently an incident has been brought into my notice by Awari management that a group of friends was interested to come to Lahore to witness the test matches. And they were denied visa because they haven't arranged their tour through registered tour operators as you have just mentioned. So I think it needs to be further clarified, because if they are coming and they are just going to visit Lahore and just to watch matches, of course they would not prefer, or they would not like to get registered with registered tour operators. And so rather I think it was quite embarrassing when it came to my notice that someone is after 14 years test match is being played in Pakistan, and some Australian spectators intend to come to Pakistan, and probably this provision has been wrongly misinterpreted or wrongly used to deny the visa. So I request, and I've just talked to SAPM as well, that we need to sit on this issue and revisit. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
I have a question, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Hello. Thanks to Pakistan Embassy Norway for organizing this tourism summit. And I want to know exact tour operators who are willing to operate tours to Pakistan. You see, we were told that there are about 20 or 30 tour operators from Norway who are willing to operate for Pakistan. If you can share some list to Pato, so we could get in touch with them and we can plan some tour for Pakistan. Thank you.
We will share the list of those who have participated in this, but we had said that participating, and this is a kind of activity to get linkages between the Norwegian and Pakistani Europe. So we will be sharing the list, and then you can get in touch with each other. Both sides can get in touch with each other, and then see how it progresses from there. We have
just a small piece of information. I was so preoccupied with the moustaches and the diet here in Gilgit, so I forgot an important point. There is now a much better road from Gilgit into Skardu. It used to take 8-9 hours on the bumpy road. Now it takes 4 hours on a good road. So Skardu is much more accessible, and there are several flights a day, even international flights coming up. And It makes Skardu much more accessible for hikers, hunters, mountain climbers, even cultural tours on the Silk Road. Skardu is within reach now. Thank you. Thanks to Pearl Tours who gave me the information.
Anybody else?
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Okay.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, Mr. Mohsen, please go ahead.
शुक्रिया बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम अस्सलाम वालेकुम alle sammen. या मैं अपनी ज़बान थोड़ा उर्दू में और नॉर्वेजियन में बोलूँगा क्योंकि मेरी इंग्लिश थोड़ी वीक है. Jag kan først rette mot det norske publikummet. Mitt navn Mohsen Raja. Jeg født og oppvokst i Norge og har flyttet ned i Pakistan i de siste 2 årene. Jeg har et ganske stort nettverk i Norge. Jeg har fått prisen Årets Oslo borger i 2015, vunnet en pris for Human of the Year i 2019 og har vunnet en diplom fra regjeringen i Pakistan også. Nå i de siste 2 årene så har jeg startet en reisebyråselskap for at det skal bli enklere for norsk-pakistanere og etniske nordmenn å reise ned til Pakistan og besøke de vakre naturperlene som vi har å tilby i Nord-Pakistan blant annet. Vi godt i gang. Det noe som heter The Blue Pakistan. Vi skulle egentlig ha fått lov til å presentere oss skikkelig her, men det fikk vi ikke muligheten til, så derfor bare hoppet jeg inn i det. Vi har jo allerede 3 personer som i Skardu per dags dato. De besøkte det stedet i dag. Og så har vi noen 3-4 personer som sitter i salen her som skal besøke Pakistan i nærmeste fremtid. Så vi har mange kule pakker som vi har å tilby. Det bare å gå inn på thebluepakistan.com og sjekke det ut. Og vi åpne for å samarbeide med alle som har lyst til å få opp turismen i Pakistan.
Please, kindly can you translate it into English or Urdu?
उर्दू की मैं ट्राई करता हूँ. मेरा नाम मोहसिन राजा है. मैं नॉर्वे की मेरी पैदाइश है. नॉर्वे में मैं रहता हूँ, बड़ा पड़ा हूँ. आखिरी 2 साल से मैं पाकिस्तान शिफ्ट आया हूँ क्योंकि मेरा विजन यही है कि पाकिस्तान में टूरिज्म को ना बढ़ाना, क्योंकि इस टूरिज्म की वजह से जो मकामी लोग हैं, जो गरीब लोग हैं, उधर की जो नॉर्दर्न एरिया में रहते हैं, उनका भी फायदा है, पाकिस्तान का भी फायदा है और जाहिर बात है जो नॉर्वेजियन पाकिस्तानी लोग हैं उनका भी आसानी होगा पाकिस्तान में ट्रैवल करने के लिए. नॉर्वे में मेरा बहुत बड़ा नेटवर्क है. मुझे सिटीजन ऑफ द ईयर का अवार्ड मिला था 2015 में. ह्यूमन ऑफ द ईयर का अवार्ड मुझे मिला था 2019 में. तो काफी मेरा मतलब कहने का ये मतलब है मेरा नेटवर्क बहुत स्ट्रॉन्ग है. मेरा एक फेसबुक पेज भी है जहाँ पे हमारे तकरीबन 15,000 मेंबर हैं. हमारी एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है SMP, उसमें भी मेंबर मुझे याद नहीं, लेकिन काफी ज्यादा लोग हैं. तो द ब्लू पाकिस्तान हमने 1.5 साल पहले शुरू की थी. मैंने आखिरी सालों में नॉर्दर्न एरिया के बहुत अच्छे तरीके से विजिट किया है. मुझे पता है नॉर्वेजियन पाकिस्तानी को स्टैंडर्ड किस तरह का पसंद है, उसी के मुताबिक हमने अपने पैकेजेस बनाने की कोशिश की है. आज वाले दिन
आपको इंटरप्ट करें, कोई क्वेश्चन है आपका, प्लीज बताइएगा.
क्वेश्चन नहीं था, मुझे नासिर भाई ने कहा था आपने हमें प्रेजेंटेशन करने का मौका नहीं दिया, तो इसलिए मैं खुद ही जंप मार के प्रेजेंटेशन देने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ. तो द ब्लू पाकिस्तान को कांटेक्ट करें तो इंशाल्लाह आपको हम ना जरूर पुश करेंगे. थैंक यू.
मौका मिलेगा, लेकिन क्वेश्चंस को इस वक्त हम दें तो
क्वेश्चन कोई नहीं है.
अच्छा, ओके, थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर पार्टिसिपेटिंग. So we have Mountain Challenger who has raised her hand. Can you speak? Mountain Challenger.
Thanks a lot. Good afternoon for everyone. And I have to say one more thing. What may be important for foreigners who want to visit Pakistan, especially for Norway today. And because we are mixed tour agency, just like we are Polish Pakistani tour agency, and we have a bit different point of view for foreigners who are visiting Pakistan, I think. And I know a lot of our visitors, a lot of our clients asking us many times about safety in Pakistan. And what we think it's really important to say to everyone, Pakistan is really safe place. And of course, everyone member of PATO, I'm sure, it's really great person who know how to deal this business with foreigners. And all of us want to say to everyone foreigner, go with us to visit Pakistan because it's great and safe place. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There's one more gentleman who hasn't with his name iPhone.
Can you
Who
please
has signed in
unmute?
with the iPhone? Okay, if there are no questions, we can conclude the session. Yes, I think so. Let's go.
Okay.
I think the iPhone is Mr. Hussain.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes. Yes, please go ahead.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening from Pakistan. First of all, Pakistan embassy. I was just listening one of our colleagues from Norway. He was saying Pakistan is not much safe for women, a traveler. But I just want to clarify that being a tour operator, I can say that Pakistan is 100% safe for women and men for both. This is my clarification. And the second thing is, being a tour operator,
we're having some technical difficulties.
orders on the way from partners and especially presidents. He are trying to get everything sorted out. It's my humble request for Pakistan Ambassador Oslo. Please request our government, especially for federal government, to ease especially visa system for visitors to Pakistan. There's nothing more. Thank you so much.
Okay, so with this, first we are going to watch the video by Mr. Knut Lande and Ms. Giri Lande, which depicts their personal experience of visiting Pakistan.
What's this? Is this there or can? Ghulam Mohammed, he is the Chief Conservator of Wildlife Department of Gilgit-Baltistan. Welcome. Thank you.
1997 में बाज़ाबिता काफी हंटिंग का आगाज हो गया। यहाँ IUCN आया, उसने बाकायदा पायलट प्रोजेक्ट शुरू किए, उसमें बलिस्तान और गुजरात IUCN हाँ इंटरनेशनल यूनियन फॉर कंजर्वेशन ऑफ नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज उन्होंने यहाँ पे पायलट प्रोजेक्ट शुरू किए काफी हंटिंग का, और उससे ये सिलसिला बढ़ता गया। हाँ, फिर कम्युनिटी ने खुद वॉलंटियरली इस काफी हंटिंग इसकी प्रोटेक्शन शुरू की, और यहाँ तक हो गया कि आज अल्लाह के फजल करम से 39 एरियाज जो है कम्युनिटी कंट्रोल हंटिंग एरिया में शामिल है। उसके बाद जो हमारी कम्युनिटी जो इसमें शामिल हो गई, उसमें 20% हमने रिटेन किया, 80% हमने कम्युनिटी को डिलीवर किया, और अब तक तकरीबन 14 करोड़ रुपए प्लस माइनस कम्युनिटी को डिलीवर हो गए। और उससे इन्होंने एजुकेशन, हेल्थ, कंजर्वेशन
The same room as last year.
It was very cold. I thought it was ice on the floor.
Jeg skal ikke bruke det. Så det går jo nær uten å håndkle, ja.
Okay, we're really sorry because we are running short of time, so we have to end this video. But thank you so much for sharing it. Sir, please, for concluding remarks.
Well, my apologies, we've already overstepped our time. So thank you once again, everybody, for joining us here today from Pakistan as well as here in Norway. And I would also like to thank Mr. Tashfeen, Head Additional Secretary, Khyber Tourism, who I skipped mentioning in the beginning. And I would also like to acknowledge Mr. Arshid Wahid Chaudhary. He has written 3 books on tourism in Pakistan and is a very wealthy participant here. So thank you very much, everybody. And please enjoy the lunch with us.